Hey guys, welcome to this channel. My name is Gerald, and today I want to share with you guys how I became financially free at the age of 25. And just so you know, this is by no means for me to gloat or anything of the sort. The idea of me sharing this video is to kind of share with you guys the motivations or the trigger events in my life that led me to want to pursue financial freedom, and how I actually did it. So that you guys can learn a tip or two on how you can also pursue financial freedom. So, what exactly is financial freedom? So, financial freedom basically means your passive income exceeds your expenses on a month-to-month basis. So, by that measure, you no longer have to work, slog it out, and your money or your income kind of exceeds all your daily expenses. So you can basically live in perpetuity and not have any problems at all. But the thing about financial freedom is that financial freedom actually comes in different levels. So the first level would be like financial security, where you are able to pay for your basic necessities like your food, water, housing, utilities, your loan payments if you have student loans. And by achieving that, essentially you have that sense of security. But it doesn't mean that you have a lot of money to kind of splurge around, you can't travel frequently. So that's probably the next level where you are able to kind of splurge a little on luxury. You can give a lot of good gifts to your friends, hang out most of the night with your friends, to the bar or something to have fun. And the last stage, I think the highest level of financial freedom is kind of like when you really dominate the wealth category. You're like maybe in like a financial abundance category where you can really splurge on very lavish things like very expensive car, premium house, premium hotels. So that's probably like the highest level of financial freedom. To be really honest with you guys, I'm nowhere near that level. I'm probably at the first stage of financial freedom. Like I have my basic needs covered by my passive income. So I'm going to share with you guys like my story, how it all began. Of course, if you're not really interested in how I started, you can skip all the way, link the timestamp in the description below, all the way to the part where I teach you guys how I actually did it. If you want to listen to my story, kudos to you. Before we begin, please do me a big favor, help me click on that subscribe button because I need 1,000 subscribers before I can, get monetized in this YouTube channel. It all began in 2008, so that's when I was about 8 or 9 years old, 25 minus 17, yeah, about 8 or 9 years old. During that time, my family got into a very big financial trouble because of the financial crisis and many of the bad financial decisions that my parents made. So I came from a very average family. My mom's a nurse and my dad is a badminton coach. Growing up, my mom is actually a very frugal person, and I picked up a lot of her saving habits. So I love to save a lot of money. I'm extremely frugal, by the way. Everything here is given to me. And the thing about my dad was that he was the complete opposite of my mom. He loves to splurge on lavish things. Plus, he's a very proud man. He wants to show people that he's a capable man, he's a proud man, his children, they're awesome, and he also loved to gamble. Back then, to be honest, my parents, or my dad in particular, made a lot of money. I think he made well over 10,000 a month. Confidently, I could say he definitely made over 10,000 a month. But the thing was that he also spent a lot every month. Like, how lavishly did he spend? He bought 2 houses, one HDB or the government property, that's the house you get in Singapore, and one condominium. That was $1 million condominium because back then it was the peak of the bubble. And not only that, we got 2 cars, one for personal use. It was a very big car. I don't remember the brand of the car, but it's a really big car, and one company van, so they can separate work from business. But to be honest, he really didn't need those. He just needed that car or the van. We were perfectly happy to travel in a van, but pride wouldn't let him have his way. His pride couldn't take it, so he bought 2 cars, 2 houses. And the funny thing was that what made it really difficult was that his sibling was having financial difficulties during that time. So as a nice younger brother, he actually let his older sister stay in our HDB flat. He wanted to stay in the condominium. You know why? So even though his sister stayed in the HDB flat, she didn't really contribute to my dad. And it was a 4-bedroom apartment. What my dad could have done was basically let her co-share the place and rented out the rest of the rooms, but instead, he was a very nice person. He kind of let his sister use the entire apartment for free. And what happened was then, he realized we had a lot of difficulty trying to make ends meet to pay the down payment for the house, for both houses and both cars. So then what happened was he then rented our apartment. So my family is actually squeezed into two or three of the rooms in the condo, and we rented out one or two of the rooms. And that was when shit happened. And to be honest, my mom was the kind of woman that really valued her own privacy. She didn't like to live with people outside of the family. So that was when there were a lot of fights. My mom kind of chased a lot of tenants away, like simple things, like for example, they did not turn off the light, the tap. They swapped the apples, like her big apples with a small apple. She got really upset, and that was when we could not meet our financial obligations. Like we were barely getting by. But what really killed us was really the financial crisis when the price of the house just fell dramatically. So I think back then I can't fully remember the details because I was very young back then. But here's what happened. I heard that the price of the property fell by a couple of 100,000, like 200,000 to 300,000, and we needed to urgently kind of top up cash with the bank or something like that. And my dad did not inform my mom that he couldn't afford these payments. So what happened was that the bank essentially foreclosed the condominium. And I remember that morning. It was one of the worst days that ever happened to me. So early in the morning, someone knocked on the door, and then they told us they were government officials. They just came into the house. They pasted this red sticker on every single one of our furniture, like the fridge, the tables, the sofa. Basically, what happened was that they were going to get like government movers to kind of take all our belongings away, and were forced to evict out of the house. So I have no idea how it got this bad, but this is what happened, and my mom and I, we really panicked. So we called our relatives. We got them to lend us like a lorry. So we kind of shifted as many furnitures as we could, like the table, the wardrobe that was important. We could shift like two or three of the furniture. And what was really terrible was afterwards we tried to withdraw money from the ATM machine. We tried to take some cash out, as much cash as we could. Turns out all of my mom's assets were frozen. Like literally, she could not take a single cent out of the ATM machine. She couldn't even take out money from her insurance policy. Like you tell your insurance guy, hey, I want to withdraw my policy. You can't do any of this stuff. Everything is taken away, and it was just like that. So it was a very, very scary time in my life. In fact, I remember during that period of time, we struggled so badly, we couldn't even afford public transport around. So like I remember cycling like 30 to 40 minutes just so that I can go for badminton training and travel with my friends. So that was like 30-40 minutes journey, because remember, my school was here, but I kind of lived in my relative's place, so that was what happened. I also remember I had to go door to door to sell like those old eggs, and my dad started like some business that he started just so that I could try to earn some cents. And that was really when the dream began. It was that period that I really wanted to ensure that my family in future would never have to go through such a financial difficulty in life again. That's when my dad was a badminton coach. He was telling me, Gerald, if you train hard, someday you can make a lot of money. And true enough, back then, the Prime Minister Lee Hsien Loong, was it Lee Hsien Loong? Yeah, Lee Hsien Loong said that if anyone wins the Olympic medal, he could get $1 million. So I was like, ka-ching, I want to make that money. And that's when I trained crazy hard. I trained like probably close to 9 times, so 2-3 sessions a day. Pretty much every day of the week I was training. I wanted to get that money, man. So sure enough, I managed to get into Singapore Sports School, subsequently into the national team. But that was when I realized that playing sports at a very high level, at least for badminton, it's not that simple. It's not like to just make a lot of money and just get rich, and it's really, really difficult to try to win competitions, to get sponsors, and essentially you're much better off back then. You're much better off pursuing studies compared to sports. Like, to give you an idea how much I was paid as a professional athlete, the average cleaner was getting paid like 1,400, 1,500 a month. I was getting paid around half of that, and I was training close to 50 hours every week. So that was how little I was paid, kind of. So it's significantly less than minimum wage for sure, because we don't have minimum wage in Singapore, so I was paid like really little. And it was during that period of time when I realized, crap, this isn't going to make me much money. Maybe I should figure out other ways to make ends meet. And that's when I started to learn about how to make money online. And that's when I came across Robert Kiyosaki's, that 4-quadrant. You want to be an employee, business, sole proprietor, big business, and investor. So that's when I figured, you know what, I don't have a lot of savings. There was no way I could be an investor for sure, because my money, if you have $1, you compound, it doesn't really make much difference over the next 5-10 years. So that's when I tried to start my first internet business, and it failed spectacularly. Like, to be honest, I did achieve some form of success. So the website was just teaching people how to play badminton. It was a badminton content site, and that was like 2012, I think. And I taught people how to play badminton through my website, and turns out it was making me $1 every month. So I was getting about 1,000 people visiting after 6 months of learning how to code, build a website, everything. I made about $1 a month. But the problem was that I was, spending $30 a month just to maintain the website's hosting and domain. So I was basically screwed. I was losing money every month, and after about half a year, that's when I closed down my website. Subsequently, I then worked in various odd jobs. Like I was in Mossburger, I flipped stuff online. I did many different jobs just to try to earn a little bit of money and learn how I can start a business, basically. And it was during the army days that I started this badminton business that is currently still running today. So here comes the juicy part. How did I actually started making passive income? So it all started when I was in the army. I actually started a business then. Yeah, so I was actually a very average soldier, sergeant. It was then that I started my coaching business. That is what it is today. So back then, through the odd jobs, I kind of learned how to systemize a business from my mentor. So my mentor taught me that, for business, there are 3 key aspects that you want to focus on in the very beginning in this order. So once you can kind of systemize these 3 parts, your business is pretty much kind of self-running in the beginning. Of course, there are a lot more details that you need to go into in different aspects as time goes by. Like if you want to scale it, it's a totally different ball game. But when I'm first starting out, just to make everything very simple, to keep myself really focused, I started off focusing on like the marketing aspect first. So like I systemized a marketing aspect. I built a team, and that was when I was getting customers coming in on day-to-day basis. So when that was achieved, then the next thing was to systemize the operations. How do we deliver the service to the customers, high quality service, as well as provide them with satisfactory customer service to keep them happy, to keep them staying in the academy. So then the last aspect that I needed to really systemize was the accounts. So once you get the marketing done, the operation done, the accounts done, you have a very simple business that is kind of self-sustaining. And that business took me from making $0 to about $200,000 annual revenue in about 2 years, making me approximately $1,500 in passive income every month. Of course, it's not completely passive, but if I were to stray away, let's say if I disappeared for about a quarter of the year, half a year in fact, I think the business would have no issues sustaining itself. So that is the beauty of this business. The second way that I made passive income was through YouTubing. So remember, when I was really young, I started a website teaching people how to play badminton, which failed spectacularly. Turns out that YouTube video that I made back then had about 10,000 views by the time I started my my physical coaching business, and that was spectacular. Like, I started to realize the potential of that business. So that was when I decided, you know what, let me just try making more YouTube videos. And I made really low quality, very amateurish YouTube video, and I was very lucky. People were very supportive of my YouTube channel. So that was when I grew from like a 100 subscribers to about 65,000 subscribers today. And I made approximately about $400 to $500 in AdSense revenue just from the YouTube channel alone, because every month I get approximately 300 to 400,000 views, and it's all because I believed in the YouTube system. I saw an opportunity in this AdSense YouTube online business model, and I just seized the opportunity and started making a lot of videos back then. The third way that I was making passive income was through investing. So I invested in stocks. During my army days, I spent a lot of time reading, especially when I was in the jungle. I recall bringing the Security Analysis book by Benjamin Graham. So this book is like 1,000-page thick. I brought it in my armor, and my officer was like, "What are you doing? Do you think this is like picnic?" So I got scolded really badly for bringing reading during my training. It was really terrible of me, come to think of it. But it was then that I kind of learned about investing. I went for investment courses as well, the one by Rashvin, which is under Mary Buffett, kind of. So kind of learned a little bit about value investing then, and I started investing in stocks. And then I started investing in stocks. So just to be really safe, I kind of split my money two ways. So just in case I fail spectacularly while investing, I wanted to make sure I had a surefire way to kind of make a good amount of money. So I kind of split my money. Like a small portion of it was invested in the Singapore Index Fund, like the Index Fund for Singapore, which kind of gave like a 7 to 10% returns on average over the long run. So that's a kind of surefire way that I would at least have some form of passive income. I even have my first dividend, check letter right behind. And the second way was for me to actively invest, because while I had very little savings, like probably 20,000 at that point in time, it wasn't a good amount of time that really substantiated the fact that I should invest, like full time. Because the thing is that if you want to invest actively, you want to make sure you should at least get 5% or more, and 5% of $10,000 is like, I don't know, $500 more a year. So it doesn't justify me investing actively. Then the question becomes, when do you start investing actively? Do you when you are rich? But the problem is that when you have a lot of money, you haven't learned the skill set, you're gonna get into bigger trouble, right? It's much easier to lose. It's gonna be so much more painful to lose like $10,000 than to lose $1 million. So that's why I wanted to kind of learn the skill set. Plus, I have itchy fingers. I think like I'm the new Warren Buffett. Maybe I could make a lot of money through investing in stocks somehow, which I didn't, unfortunately. But the idea was that it was generating passive income for me. It was very little, like $20 a month approximately, but it's growing. It doesn't require me to do any work, so that's my passive income source number 3. So in total, I get about close to $2,000 in passive income every month. On the other side of the equation, there's also expenses. How much do I spend every month? So the thing is that I live very cheaply. I currently share an apartment with my girlfriend. I pay about $500 in rent every month. So plus transportation, insurance, food, and everything, it goes up to $1,000, $1,500 maybe. Because during some months you have to buy a lot of gifts like Christmas. So about $1,000 to $1,500. It's a range. Plus insurance and many other things that I needed to do. So basically, I became financially free at around this time. So I'm very lucky that I was able to be presented with such opportunity, and I kind of worked my butt off to kind of seize this opportunity. So I hope this video is helpful. If you want to learn how you can automate like your business, how to make money on YouTube, or just to live very cheaply, you can check out my video. Subscribe if you want to learn more, and I hope this video is kind of inspirational. If you can, please share with your friends. It will help me out so much. I'm just trying to make a living, so hopefully someday I can achieve financial abundance. Alright, talk to you soon. Peace.